The sugar trap: how processed foods hijack your brain. Picture this: you walk into a supermarket and are instantly greeted by an explosion of colors and enticing images. Shelves overflowing with cookies, sugary cereals, and drinks that promise instant energy and joy. It all seems irresistible, doesn't it? That's not by chance. These foods are designed to be that way. They are, quite literally, a trap for your brain. When you consume sugar, especially the kind found in processed foods, something fascinating, and a little frightening, happens in your brain. Sugar activates the same reward centers that drugs like cocaine do. This means that with every bite of a frosted cookie or sip of a sugary soda, your brain releases a surge of dopamine, the so-called feel-good hormone. You feel happy, relaxed, and, for a moment, it seems like all your worries have disappeared. But that happiness is fleeting. Just a few minutes later, this euphoria is replaced by a sharp drop in blood sugar levels, leading to a rebound effect. You feel tired, irritable, and, guess what, craving more sugar. This vicious cycle isn't just a matter of willpower, it's a biological manipulation. Food manufacturers know exactly how these products interact with our brains. They have teams of scientists and psychologists working to find the perfect combination of flavors, textures, and colors that will make you want more, even when you know you shouldn't. And it doesn't stop there. The hidden sugar in processed foods has another trick up its sleeve: it masks flavors that are not palatable. The food industry knows that without a generous amount of sugar, many of the products we consume regularly would be unpalatable. So, what do? They add sugar to everything, from tomato sauce to the whole wheat bread you thought was healthy. This conditions our taste buds to constantly seek out that sweet flavor, making it harder and harder to resist. So, what does this mean for your body? Frequent consumption of sugar in processed foods affects the sensitivity of dopamine receptors in the brain, requiring you to consume more and more to feel the same level of pleasure. This is the same mechanism behind drug tolerance. So, don't be surprised if you find yourself needing larger desserts, bigger servings of sweets, or more scoops of sugar in your coffee to get the same satisfaction you once had. That's why that uncontrollable urge to eat an entire pack of cookies, even after a full meal, isn't just your fault. It's the result of a meticulously planned strategy to keep you hooked on sugar's sweet lure. The first step to breaking free from this trap is to understand how it works and, most importantly, to realize that, often, you're not the one in control. Now that you know how sugar almost acts like a drug to your brain, it's time to uncover the next secrets behind this addiction and, of course, learn how to fight back. Hormones at play: the role of insulin and ghrelin in sugar cravings. Have you ever wondered why, just a few hours after a meal, you suddenly feel a craving for something sweet? It's like your body is sending you an urgent message: I need sugar right now. But what's really going on inside you is a fascinating and complex dance between hormones that regulate your hunger and energy levels. Let's start with insulin. This hormone is like a gatekeeper for your cells. When you eat something sugary or rich in carbohydrates, your blood sugar levels spike. In response, your body releases insulin to help transport that sugar from your bloodstream into your cells, where it can be used as energy. It sounds pretty straightforward, right? But here's where it gets tricky. When you consume a lot of sugar frequently, your body starts to overproduce insulin. Your cells, bombarded by this constant surge of insulin, begin to resist its effects. This is what we call insulin resistance. So, now your body needs to pump out even more insulin just to get the same job done. It's like knocking louder and louder on a door that's becoming increasingly soundproof. And while all this is happening, your brain is getting mixed signals. It thinks your cells are starving because they're not getting the sugar they need, even though your bloodstream is flooded with it. What does your brain do when it thinks you're starving? It tells you to eat more, preferably something high in sugar, quick and easy to digest. So, you reach for that candy bar or slice of cake, and the cycle begins again. You end up caught in a loop of sugar highs and crashes, feeling sluggish and craving even more sugar. It's exhausting, both physically and mentally. Now, let's bring ghrelin into the picture. Ghrelin is known as the hunger hormone. It's produced in your stomach and sends a signal to your brain that it's time to eat. Its levels rise before meals, making you feel hungry, and fall after eating. But when you have a diet high in sugar and refined carbs, ghrelin can get out of sync. You might find yourself feeling hungry even when your body doesn't need more energy. Ever experienced that gnawing feeling in your stomach just an hour or two after eating a big meal? That's ghrelin playing tricks on you. It's not true hunger, it's your body's response to a spike and subsequent drop in blood sugar, making you think you need more fuel when you actually don't. The interplay between insulin and ghrelin creates a hormonal seesaw. When one is out of balance, the other follows. Together, they create a powerful force that can make resisting sugar almost impossible. It's not about lacking willpower or self-control. It's about your body's natural response to hormonal signals that are out of alignment. Understanding this isn't just eye-opening, it's liberating. Because when you know what's happening inside your body, you can start making choices that help you break free from these cravings. Choices that don't just rely on sheer willpower, but that work with your body's chemistry to find a new balance. When you start feeding your body what it truly needs, instead of just giving into the highs and lows of sugar, you can finally regain control over your cravings and, more importantly, your health. False hunger signals: how to identify and combat sugar craving triggers. Have you ever found yourself standing in front of the refrigerator, staring blankly at its contents, even though you had a full meal just an hour ago? Or maybe you've noticed that sudden, almost desperate urge for something sweet right after a stressful meeting or a long day. You're not alone. The truth is, many of our cravings have nothing to do with actual hunger. They're more like an emotional alarm system going off, urging you to eat when your body doesn't really need food. It's craving comfort, distraction, or even just a burst of pleasure. Let's break this down. There's a key distinction between real hunger and a craving. Real hunger builds gradually. You start to feel a bit peckish, and over time, this sensation becomes more pronounced until your stomach starts to grumble. It's your body's way of saying, "Hey, I need fuel to keep going." A craving, on the other hand, tends to come on suddenly and with a sense of urgency. It's usually for a specific type of food, often something sweet, salty, or fatty. But why does this happen? One major culprit is emotional eating. Our brains are wired to associate certain foods with comfort and reward. When you're feeling stressed, anxious, lonely, or even bored, your brain remembers that last time you felt better after eating a chocolate bar or diving into a tub of ice cream. So, it sends out a signal: I need that relief again. The craving isn't about hunger, it's about numbing a feeling or filling a void. Another sneaky trigger is environmental cues. Have you ever noticed how your craving for a cookie intensifies when you see a coworker enjoying one? Or how the smell of freshly baked goods can make you think you're hungry, even when you're not? These external cues can hijack your brain, making you feel like you need something when, in reality, it's just your senses reacting to stimuli around you. Then, there's the issue of habit. If you've gotten used to having something sweet after dinner, your brain starts to expect it. It's almost like it sets a timer: okay, meal's over. Where's dessert? This habitual craving is more about routine than need. Your body doesn't require a sugar hit to finish a meal, but your brain, craving that predictable pleasure, convinces you otherwise. So, how do you distinguish between true hunger and these false signals? Start by doing a craving check. When you feel that sudden urge for something sweet, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I really hungry? Or am I just stressed, bored, or reacting to something I saw or smelled? If the answer is anything other than genuine hunger, try to distract yourself for 10 minutes. Go for a walk, drink a glass of water, or engage in an activity that occupies your mind. If you're truly hungry, the sensation will persist and you can make a mindful choice about what to eat. If it was just a craving, you'll often find it fades away. But let's be honest, sometimes, you just want that piece of chocolate. And that's okay. The goal isn't to eliminate every craving but to understand them. To be able to say, I'm choosing to have this because I want to, not because my emotions or habits are controlling me. This awareness is powerful. It puts you back in the driver's seat, helping you navigate your cravings with intention rather than being at their mercy. Because once you start recognizing these false hunger signals, you can begin to break free from their hold and find healthier ways to satisfy your body and your mind. 3 days without sugar, how a 72-hour detox can slash your sweet cravings. Imagine this, just 3 days. That's all it takes to start reprogramming your body's response to sugar. If you've ever tried to cut back on sweets, you know how powerful those cravings can be. It's like your brain is on autopilot, constantly steering you toward the cookie jar or that secret stash of chocolate. But here's the thing, those intense urges aren't permanent. In fact, you can start to reduce them significantly in as little as 72 hours. Yes, just 3 days without sugar can be a game changer. When you consume sugar, your brain releases a flood of dopamine, the same feel-good neurotransmitter that lights up when you experience pleasure. Over time, your brain gets used to these constant dopamine hits and starts to crave them, much like an addict craves their next fix. It's not just psychological, it's biological. Your brain actually rewires itself to want more and more sugar, making it harder and harder to resist. But the beauty of our bodies is that they're incredibly adaptable. When you take a break from sugar, even for a few days, your brain's reward system begins to reset. Those dopamine receptors that have been screaming for a hit of sweetness start to quiet down. By day 3, something remarkable happens, the intensity of your cravings begins to fade. It's like turning down the volume on a noisy radio, you might still hear it in the background, but it's no longer blaring in your ear, demanding your attention. During those first 3 days, you might feel a bit uncomfortable. Headaches, irritability, fatigue, these are common symptoms of withdrawal. It's your body's way of protesting the sudden lack of its usual fuel source. But stick with it. These symptoms are temporary. By the end of the 3rd day, your body begins to find its new equilibrium. Your blood sugar levels stabilize, your energy stops spiking and crashing, and those cravings that seemed so overpowering just a few days ago start to lose their grip. This 72-hour reset is powerful because it interrupts the cycle of craving and consumption that keeps you hooked. It's not just about willpower, it's about giving your brain and body a chance to break free from the biochemical roller coaster that sugar creates. Think of it as hitting the reset button on your cravings. You're not eliminating them completely, that takes longer and involves other changes to your diet and lifestyle, but you are taking the first, crucial step towards regaining control. What's fascinating is that after just 3 days without sugar, foods that once tasted bland start to come alive. An apple suddenly bursts with flavor. A handful of berries feels like a treat. Your taste buds, no longer dulled by the constant assault of refined sugars, begin to rediscover the natural sweetness in whole foods. It's a subtle but profound shift, and it only gets better with time. So, why does this matter? Because those 3 days are the foundation upon which you can build a new relationship with food. When you realize that you can go without sugar, that those cravings don't have to control you, it's incredibly empowering. It shows you that your body is more resilient, more adaptable than you might have thought. And that's just the beginning. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.